A Christmas to Remember, a short story by Paul McCann. Rita, Nanita, Rosita and Sanjita were all good friends in their early childhood. In their teenage years they married and moved overseas to begin new lives. The passage of time had not taken away their friendship, as they had always kept in touch through writing letters and social media. As fate would have it, the four of them were returning at the same time back to visit their families at home at Christmas. So it was decided that they would meet up and have a reunion over lunch in a restaurant in the city. And on the day that was scheduled, before they met, each of them went shopping for gifts to give one another. Without even knowing, they were all on the same floor, in the same store, in the same shopping mall, separately looking for something suitable to give. As they did that slow department store shuffle with all of the rest of the Christmas shoppers, they were unaware that Santa was watching their every movement. The strange thing was not one of them noticed the strange Santa statues that lit up and smiled as each of the girls walked past. Santa had a very special surprise for each of the girls, and soon that would all be revealed. When the moment was right, Santa placed a sign near an escalator to the floor below that said "Special Christmas Gifts for Special People." His plan was now about to start. One by one each of the girls saw the sign, and only minutes apart they all took to the escalator down to the floor below. But as soon as their feet touched the ground, Santa's secret floor then became a wonderland. They turned into children again, and the magic just began to happen. They all met each other and started to have so much fun. Free ice cream treats and their favourite sweets were handed out to them from Santa's little elves that were in charge of all the stalls' activities. Transformed back into their childhood, Rita, Nanita, Rosita and Sanjita ran around dancing and playing as if time had never passed. They sang the songs of their childhood and shared the dreams about what they wanted to do when they grew up. Meeting a man and having a family, travelling to far-off countries and becoming rich and living in a palace for the rest of their lives. The four girls were unaware that they had grown up and somehow magically had been transformed back in time to their childhood again. They had no memories of a future when they had already been married and raised their families. In this wonderful enchantment of an experience in another place and in another time, they once again had the chance to be as little children again. Rita, Nanita, Rosita and Sanjita played on the climbing frame. They rode the seesaw and went on to the swings and went to and fro, and they danced and they played, running and skipping and jumping and laughing and singing. All their childhood games came back to them once again. The magic of the moment was made even better when Santa arrived ringing his bell, and from his big sack filled with toys he gave each of the girls 3 gifts each: jewellery, perfume and moisturising lotion. The girls took the gifts, and suddenly 7 little elves arrived with trays of cakes and ice cream treats. There were fizzy drinks and lots of sweets to eat. Then 4 more elves came carrying Santa's throne. The throne was placed beside a tall Christmas tree, where he sat down and began to tell stories of all the different children from all over the world. The 4 girls were mesmerised and listened intently to all of the tales of people and places and the animals that once talked and walked in the magic forests when the world was brand new. Suddenly Santa looked at the time and said, "Ho, ho, ho, well, it's almost time to go." Rosita looked at Santa and said, "Go where, Santa?" Santa took some of the magic dust from his pocket and threw it over all the girls except for Rosita. Then he said, "If you take the escalator to the 2nd floor, you will discover so many more things. Go to the checkout 25 and ask the lady in the red dress to wrap your 3 gifts and tell her Santa is on his way." The other 3 girls were in a trance, and Rosita rushed off over to the escalator and turned around. She waved at Santa and all the little elves, and they waved back. Before she went up on the escalator, she shouted, "Bye-bye! I love you, Santa!" As soon as she got up to the top of the escalator, her feet touched the ground once more. She was back to being a middle-aged woman again, with no recollection of what had happened. And Rosita then walked over to the checkout, and she asked the lady in the red dress to wrap her 3 gifts. The lady there wrapped the gifts and gave them back to Rosita, who smiled and said, "Santa's on his way." The lady smiled, and then she said, "Remember your childhood. Memories never grow old." "It's almost midday." Rosita said, "Oh my goodness, I have to dash off. I have a lunch date with 3 of my old school friends." "Happy Christmas, Rosita," the lady in the red dress said. Rosita looked puzzled for a moment, but then walked away in a hurry. All of the girls made their way to the restaurant on the top floor of the shopping mall with no knowledge of what they had come from, where they had been, what they had seen. So they all met up in the restaurant and shared the gifts that they thought they had bought. Each gift had a name card, and each girl ended up with jewellery, body lotion, and perfume. They all laughed at the fact that each of them had bought the same gifts. On the same cards, there was a little message: "Remember your childhood. Memories never grow old." The end.